Hi, this is Ambika, Assistant Professor, Department of AI/ML. Today we are going to discuss about pitfalls of traditional AI in soft computing. What do you mean by traditional AI? It is also called as hard AI or symbolic AI, which is nothing but an approach where the machines are designed to solve the problems based on predefined rules, logic, and symbols. It follows the principle like knowledge, rules, as well as the logical reasoning to make the decisions. It does not learn automatically. It mainly depends on the human experts who provide the knowledge and rules. If you consider an example, a medical expert system, so we will be setting the rules like if patient has fever and patient has cough and cold, then the possible disease will be flu. So the system will depend on the database rules and then it will decide the output. Next is traditional AI. It mainly focuses on solving the problems by representing the knowledge symbolically. So the symbols may be word, character, or number. Symbolic representation. Knowledge is mainly represented by symbols. Example, logical representation. If A is human, A is smarter, then all the humans are mortal. Next one is semantic networks. So it is indicated by using the labeled links. For example, cat is an animal. Next is production rules, which is nothing but the if-then rules. Next is frames. So their data are stored in a structured information. Next is rule-based system. Here the system uses the if-then rules. For example, if the temperature is greater than 40 degrees Celsius, then the fever will be high. Next is logical reasoning. Normally the AI applies the logical methods in order to reach the conclusions. Characteristics of traditional AI. First one is the predefined knowledge. So all the information must be given before itself. Example, if you consider a chess program, it contains the predefined game strategies. Next is structured information. So the traditional AI works better when the information is organized. For example, database records. Accurate input requirement. It exports the exact data for as an input. For example, a rule-based medical system, it requires the correct symptoms in order to detect and predict the correct output. Next is exact output. So it produces a fixed decisions based on the if-then rules only. Example, it will decide either true or false. Example of the expert system. So what do you mean by an expert system? It is nothing but an AI program which imitates the decision making ability of the human expert. So it is based on the knowledge base. That is, the human experts will store the knowledge in the digital library. Example, medical information. Inference engine will apply the rules to the given information. So the working will be like that. User will be giving the input. Then inference engine will check the knowledge base for the rules and then it will decide accordingly. Example, medical diagnosis system. Next is pitfalls of the traditional AI. It is difficulty for handling the uncertainty. So one of the major limitation of this traditional AI is handling uncertain situations. So normally if you consider the real world information will be often incomplete. Example, a doctor cannot always confirm the disease only from the symptoms. Next is a patient may have the fever, weakness or mild cough, but the disease prediction it involves the uncertainty, that is incomplete information. So according to the traditional AI, it will predict the disease either yes or no. But if you consider the real life, the probability of the disease it may be 80%. So if you consider the soft computing, it will handle such situations better. Pitfall 2, lack of learning ability. So traditional AI, it cannot automatically learn from the experience. The rules must be manually updated by the human experts. For example, if you have set the rule like traditional spam filter, if the email contains the word offer, then it should display as spam. But if any new spam patterns appear, the system it cannot predict it correctly or it cannot create the new rules automatically. But in case of machine learning, it solves this by learning from the data. Next is pitfall 3, knowledge acquisition problem. Knowledge acquisition means collecting the information from experts. So the problems will be like time consuming because the experts they need to provide the thousands of rules. Difficult of processing. Human knowledge is always complex. Example, a doctor's experience they cannot be always converted to the rules. Next is incomplete knowledge. Experts they may not know each and every possible situation. Next pitfall is handling complex problems. So traditional AI performs poorly in high complex environment. Example, image recognition. Human will easily identify the objects, but if you consider the traditional AI, it requires many rules. For recognizing a cat, it should know the shape, color, size, features, etc. So it is very difficult. If you consider the speech recognition, human speech may vary in accent, speed, pronunciation as well as. So in this case, the traditional AI it cannot predict it correctly. Next pitfall is lack of adaptability. So traditional AI systems, they cannot easily adjust to the changes. If you consider a traffic control system, it is mainly based on fixed rules. For example, if the rule is set as if traffic is high, then increase the signal time. But if any unexpected situation happens like accidents, weather changes and events, so it also requires the adaptation, but it cannot handle this situation. Next, exact reasoning limitation. So traditional AI, it uses the binary logic like either 0 or 1, but humans, they use the approximate reasoning. So for example, if you consider the today's weather is hot or not, the human answer will be like somewhat hot. But if you consider the traditional AI, it will give the output either yes or no. But if you consider the soft computing, it uses a degree of truth and then it will predict the probability of that value. Next pitfall is computational complexity. So many AI problems, they require the huge calculations. Example, game solving, route planning, and pattern recognition. So the problems will be high processing time, memory requirement, as well as slow decision making. The difference between traditional AI and soft computing. So traditional AI is rule based, soft computing will be learning based. So exact solutions will be obtained in traditional AI, whereas in soft computing, approximate solutions will be obtained. So traditional AI requires the complete information, but soft computing handle incomplete data. So no self-learning will be there in the traditional AI, but soft computing, it can learn from the experience. So the flexibility will be less in case of traditional AI, and it is highly adaptable in case of the soft computing. Why computational intelligence is needed? To overcome all these AI limitations, we use the artificial neural networks, fuzzy logic, and evolutionary computation. So real-time examples will be speech recognition, medical diagnosis, autonomous vehicles, and natural language processing. Thank you.